Hello there folks, it is TIJ Gaming and welcome to part 11 of our MotoGP 19 rider career, and today it is the third last episode of the Moto3 season, as today we go to Aragon, another Spanish Grand Prix, followed by a track that I don't think I've actually raced at. This track of course was in the 2018 season, but I don't think I raced around it in MotoGP 18, so that is the Thai Grand Prix at the Shang International Circuit. Now, last episode, it was quite an interesting one, as we finally sort of tweaked the difficulty to get it right. But before we did that, we did win the British Grand Prix at Quieticant, which, yes, was nice, but the difficulty wasn't really quite high enough. But I think we've got it just about right now, as at Misano, we had quite a tough race. As you can see, the fastest laps were all pretty close to each other, but due to quite a poor qualifying, we only finished in 9th place. So after that race, the championship looks like this. It's very close. Ignore the fact that Vamos and Garcia are in there, because after the update, those guys will be simply phased out of the title fight. So the title fight is very close between Dalla Porta, Aaron Canet, ourselves, Masia, and Darren Binder. Now, personally, I do think it'll be a battle between Dalla Porta and Canet, as both of those seem to consistently finish in the top 3 at the moment, and we're not so consistent at that. So we can give it all we can, I suppose. We'll give it our shot. See how we get on. I suppose one of those riders will have a fall and there might be drama towards the end of the season, because 19 points off 6 races isn't a massive total to regain. But anyway, let's go for the Aragon Grand Prix to see how we qualify, because qualifying is massive, particularly in a title fight. The time seems to be really tight in this session. We've just set a lap 6/10 shy of Jacob Cornfile's time, that is fastest at the moment with a 2:06.3. Now, luckily, because we crossed the line about 10 seconds clear of a 2:06, we have got 2 laps to try and get into Q2, but 6/10 separating, what, 11 riders? Blimey, this is close. It's really close on this attempt. Now, we were quickest in the first 2 splits, but Garcia's now set the fastest lap of a 2:06 dead, but we were 100th off that sector time that Garcia set in the 3rd sector. This is going to be almightily close. It's all about, I suppose, I'll run out of the last corner, and we definitely take a different line to the AI. Whether that's quicker or slower, we'll probably find out more about that in the race. Let's have a look, though, what the time is. It's going to be a 2:06 something. It's a 2:06.4. Lost 4 tenths just on that last sector. I wonder whether this bike, switching to this bike, I know that some of you have had some questions and queries about maybe this bike isn't as good as what the performance says it is. And potentially that's something to do with straight line speed, because it would be a shock to be, what, 100th down, not really make much mistakes, because let's face it, you know, that that sector is basically 2 straights in a corner, and to lose 4 tenths there is very peculiar, and I don't think we get such a bad run out of that right-hander after the 3rd sector, so very peculiar, but we've got to improve or else we're not getting through, and we're a little bit off our 1st sector time, which is a little bit worrying, but of course there's room for improvement. We are in 5th, which suggests we're a long way off getting into Q2, but it's going to be tight here. Well, unfortunately, we've just about missed out, and why just about? As you can see, just about missed out on Q2 by 300ths of a second. So close there. Really good lap by Sergio Garcia. He goes through to Q2, but unfortunately, there's 18 that get into Q2, isn't it? So we're going to be on the 7th row for the start of this Spanish Grand Prix. Not where we want to be at all.
Welcome to the Spanish desert. We're at the Aragon circuit, where the latest race in the Moto3 class is about to start. The weather forecasts are very reassuring. We'll have sunny weather for the entire duration of the race.
In the 80s, Yaz sang a song called The Only Way Is Up. I think that stands today for us. Now, we've got a bit of hope in the Red Bull Rookies Cup. This was the final race of, I believe, in the last season. I'm not going to assign years because things get weird with video games and trying to get years on seasons. But last season, we won this race. Yes, we started on pole, but we were very strong around here. Can we get that race pace from last year into this year? But let's have a look where our title rivals has qualified. Clearly not in the top 2. Mazzi's on pole with Antonelli 2nd, so Dalla Porta 3rd, and Aaron Canet is in 4th. We've got Darren Binder as well in 8th place. Anybody else we need to probably be looking at? No, probably not. But Garcia, unfortunately, even though he did get out of that Q1 session, amazingly was 2 tenths down on his time from Q1 and only starts a position above us, which is a real shame considering he did a 2:06 dead in that 1st session. But as I said, it's going to be an uphill struggle. We're on the 7th row, but we need to get a good start here to make sure, in fact, we can get any sort of points. But let's be positive and let's see what happens. So on the front row, it's Mazia Antonelli, Dalla Porta, and we are a long way behind them. Unfamiliar surroundings starting this far back, but the lights are on and they are out. Oh, we very nearly jumped the start there. I was so hesitant. I literally clipped the... Oh, that's a bad start from somebody there. Really falling down the grid, but I'm not fussed about them. We've had an absolutely fantastic start. Don't crash, don't fall off. Oh, I was just about careful, but honestly, I think we got that start bang on. I just slipped the clutch. I released the clutch. I thought, oh no, we've jumped the start, but in fact, we got it absolutely perfect. And that is the best start that we've had all season and possibly in the whole entire game. So we're going to have to exploit this now, but just not be too aggressive. We need to use this start well, yes, but don't be stupid about it and don't fall off. But a great start from 19th all the way up to 10th. We'll have to have a look who's where. McPhee had quite a poor start. I know he started in the top 6 and he's down to 11th already. But Darren Binder, one of our title rivals, in 9th. Suzuki in 8th. And I would guess, well, we'll have to have a look what the top 5 are, but I'm guessing our other title rivals are all in the top 5. Now, one thing we haven't been all this weekend is behind a bike with Slipstream. We're going to go up the inside of Binder. Can we make it work? Oh, we have to push him out of the way. It's pretty aggressive, but legal. But one thing we haven't been, as I've just said, is getting the Slipstream of bikes ahead. Is that going to make the difference? Is that potentially why other bikes got a faster lap time than us in qualifying? That's certainly a question. And these guys are a lot quicker than us in qualifying. But a good move there on Darren Binder. I have to say, a very, very, very pleasing start. Let's see what else we can do coming into the second lap. But we'll find out what the running order is as we come up to the line. Now, everybody else takes a bit of a different line. They go a little bit wide, a little bit deep into the corner. Now, I brake a little bit earlier, but then get the speed out of the corner, which I think is effective, as you can see. I think we're definitely visibly closer to the bike ahead than we were last time out. So, Masia still leads the race. Antonelli second, Dalla Porta third, and Canet fourth. So, the top 4 has not changed, which is good for us, I suppose. Like braking ourselves a little bit there. I could feel that as we went straight into the corner, but with a bike as opposed to a car, you can't just go, right, we're going to correct that and just slam the brakes on, because all the bike does is goes, I'm not interested, thank you, we're just going to lose control of the bike. But that is brilliant through there. We can really carry the speed, and you'll notice that in a lot of areas in this track we can carry speed, and possibly that might be the difference between us finishing maybe in the top 5 or down here. But we're getting very close now to this battle between Suzuki, Migno and the 2 bikes ahead. So let's stay with this battle. Let's see if we can make any sort of move. But to be fair, I think we might be a little bit far off at the moment to make a move. So I'll come back to you to see if we can get any closer. Unfortunately, as of yet, we haven't been able to make any ground on these leads. It's a real shame. On sort of lap 3, we were getting a little bit closer, and I thought, oh, we could mount a move because Suzuki was going on a bit of a charge. He took Toba and Rodrigo, ended up in 6th place. But then after that, Toba and Rodrigo, I think, regrouped, got on with it a bit and just pulled away. And I can't see on this final lap, unfortunately, us gaining any time on them, certainly to make a move before the end of the race. Plus the fact we don't want to risk too much, seeing as we had a very good start to get us up to 9th. We're very lucky to just be in this position, given our lacklustre qualifying. But a great start, something we usually don't get, especially with this manual start. But I think we just judged it absolutely right with the manual start. Slipped the clutch and pulled off at exactly the right time. Be interested to see what our reaction time was. Even though we can't see it, we can probably judge it from the video whilst I look at it editing back. But I'm very happy with a 9th place considering our qualifying result. Bit of a downer really that Dalla Porta has now took the lead of the race. But Aaron Canet has only been reduced to 4th place. So I guess that's not so bad in the championship battle. But one thing that did shock me outside the championship battle, and I know John McPhee started, I think, 5th or 6th. Well, he must have made a mistake or had a terrible start, almost the reverse of us, because he's now down, I think, in 18th place after the 5 laps that we've had at this circuit. As you can see, we've had a bit more of a smooth lap this time and just catched up just a tad to Toba and Rodrigo, but 1.4 seconds is nowhere near enough to be able to catch them before the end. Luckily, we've pulled out quite a decent gap to the bikes behind us, so we have made 1 or 2 mistakes, but they haven't been punished too much. But as I say, if we hadn't have had such a bad qualifying, I think we could have been rewarded with a much better result today. But given our qualifying result and the circumstances, I will definitely take 9th place in this Aragon GP. Dalla Porta wins it for Leopard Racing, and we'll have to see who else is on the podium. But for now, we have to swallow our pride, take 9th place, but that is a result, considering our qualifying, that I am very, very happy with. So, Masia took 2nd, Antonelli 3rd, Aaron Canet in 4th, but crucially we did beat one of our rivals, Darren Binder, who was reduced to 11th place. But I have to say, look at the pace from the top 6, 204s, while the rest of the field were 205s. Interesting. But the championship battle now looks like this. Dalla Porta is starting to build a good gap at the top. Almost seems an unassailable gap. Aaron Canet now 28 points behind the championship leader. Mazia 32 and ourselves 37 points. So we are now potentially in a battle for second place. But oh my god, it is going to be tight. But I think Dalla Porta, unless he makes a massive mistake in these last 5 races, has pretty much got the championship wrapped up by this point.
Hello and welcome. Everything's ready for the third round of free practice. It's the last chance to be one of 14 fastest riders to make it to the second qualifying session.
Well, we're doing something we haven't done yet on this game, and I think it is definitely worth it with 5 rounds to go in this Moto3 season. We are taking part in FP3 because if you don't know, the Moto3 and Moto2 have adopted the MotoGP system where if you finish in the top 14 in FP3, you get yourself a place in Q2. And I think around a track like Thailand that I haven't raced at before, it could be a massive help to get through to Q2 already. But a little bit disappointing that it is wet, unless it is wet for the whole weekend, because that doesn't really help us too much in terms of learning the track, etc. But I suppose if we can get through to Q2, that is enough reward in itself. But I haven't had a look at the development tests so far, because then you can get development points, which is interesting. So I might have a look at those, but for now we just want to make sure that we can get through to Q2. Well, we decided to do the quick lap simulation, and we absolutely whooped the time threshold. 157.6 was the recommended, and now we have got 10 development points to use for the future. But yeah, okay, so yeah, we'll do some distance analysis as well. This is interesting because I haven't seen these development tests, as obviously I haven't took part in a practice session just yet. But also, whilst getting these points for developing the bike, we can learn the track. So it's a good twofold effect, and I think I like this. It's something we definitely look at in the future as we move into the higher categories, especially develop a MotoGP bike, for example. This is a very good piece of news, and it makes it all the more worth it to get in free practice free in this video. Now, we have set the 9th fastest time. It was a 1:54, not quite as fast as the other guys. But we've got a bit more of a variable Q2 session, I would argue, now. People like Boo Vamos have automatically qualified. Albert Arenas, I don't think he's been in there very often. And the likes of Arbolino, John McPhee, Q1 is a surprise, as well as Vietti, potentially Toba as well. But a few slow guys in Q1. But for the first time in this MotoGP 19 career, we're fast-tracked through to Q2. Isn't that a nice feeling? Oh, no way! Plot twist, we're not. Oh, of course, I should have thought about that. This session was wet, wasn't it? So they've had to take combined free practice sessions. Oh, no. Oh, it's gutting. Well, I suppose we look on the bright side. We did get some development in. We learnt the track. Oh, that's a bit gutting, but... well, suppose we shouldn't have false hope in the future. But it does make sense, of course, if the track was dry for the other 2 practice sessions. So we aren't going to be through to Q2, unfortunately. So just scrap everything I've just said. If we weren't to progress through FP3, we wanted to make sure we were to progress through Q1. And goodness me, we have 5 temps clear. Anybody else? Now, our first lap was a 52.1. That would have put us through to Q2. Now that we've got a 51.9. And then last lap, we got a 51.3. So potentially, we can give the front runners a good run in this next session. Now, it is wet again, so that will probably help in terms of grip. If it's a dry race tomorrow, it'll be very odd. I have to say, we will have had no sort of dry run. It has to be said, though, this isn't exactly wet in terms of very wet, but it's probably just damp rather than wet. So I suppose the grip isn't massively different, but let's see how we get on anyway in this second qualifying session to determine who starts at the front of the Shang International Grand Prix. Antonelli's first effort was a 53.9. Now, I don't think that's as fast as the AI can go. I think they're teasing us a little bit here, because we are going much quicker than Antonelli on this lap, as you can probably guess. What is our time going to be? It's the first 151 of our weekend, a 151.6. Yeah, I think the AI can go a little bit quicker than a 153.9. We're not that dominant, for goodness sake. Mazzi's just set a 151.6. We are just about off that, so it's clear we are definitely with the sort of AI's pace. Now, we were a 10th up throughout the first 3 sectors, so we must have made a mistake in that last sector to put us a little bit off. But this battle for pole, unless somebody comes out with an insane sort of 150.5, I wouldn't be surprised with the calibre of riders in this series. But we are in a real tight battle, and at the moment, for the first time since Silverstone, and probably the first time, to be fair, with this severe difficulty, we could be on the front row. I said I wouldn't be surprised by a mighty lap by the AI. Antonelli, who set a 153.9 earlier, that's not a bad delta, is it? A 2.8 second improvement. It's not been a great lap for us, but if you look in that sector, we were very narrowly in front of Antonelli. Now Della Porta's just gone pole very narrowly once again. What's our time going to be? If we were fastest in that sector, we've got to improve. Coming around the last corner, let's see what it is. We're going to have one more lap just about. But what is this time going to be? It's pole for now. Get in there. A 151 dead. But this battle is not over yet. We're going to have to do one more lap to see if we can get any more out of this Honda Team Asia car. But if nobody else sets a faster time, we have earned this. We could be on pole. This could be a big moment. Now, on this difficulty, it's pretty impressive, I would argue, to get pole position. That was shown by that qualifying we had in Aragon, and we were really pushing there. Just waiting to see if anybody else is going to improve. They're just a little bit ahead of us in terms of track position. And I don't think anybody else is going to improve unless one of these riders is one of the pole contenders. But they are going particularly slow, a little bit wide into that last corner. That might jeopardise our time. But nobody else is going to set a better time. We improved to a 151.057, and that's pole. Get in there, a pole position here at the Shanghai International Circuit for the Thai Grand Prix. And that is absolutely fantastic. Look at that difference. Antonelli beaten to second by 1,000th of a second. What a close session that was. Look at Diff in 6th as well, exactly the same time. Aaron Canet down in 7th, and Darren Binder in 13th. This could be a massive race for the title fight.
Hello everyone from the Chang International Circuit, where the Thai round of the Moto3 Championship is about to start. There are some impressive crowds here today despite the rain you can see coming down. A reminder that this is always a popular event.
I said it was damp yesterday, didn't I? That's what I meant. This is rain. Rain, rain, rain. Really? Competing in the dry would have been a disadvantage to us because we haven't had any dry running. Is competing in even wetter weather going to be an advantage or a disadvantage? It's going to be tricky to stay on the bike, but whoever the fastest man is today, that sounds so obvious, but the pace can be so variable in the rain. It's ourselves on pole, Della Porta second, Antonelli third, Mazia fourth. There is a very solid grid, and we had to really work to get pole position, but that was only half the job. Now we've got to work to stay there, to win and earn our first race win, I think it's fair to say, since probably all the way back. How many races have we won this season? Is it just the 2? I think we won at US where we were particularly quick in Silverstone. So we really haven't had to earn a race win, I'd argue, so far this season. That US win was pretty easy, as well as the Silverstone win. This is the definitely most testing race that we're going to have to be in this season, and really a lot of it comes down to the start. Oh, this is pressure. But we're the underdog in this championship fight. I suppose that's a little bit less pressure, but equally, we should be up to the task. Lights are on, above the riders. Lights out, and away we go for this Grand Prix. So little grip off the start, and we have been overtook. A little bit aggressive there from Antonelli, blimey. I need to push me out the way. Suzuki with a brilliant start up to 3rd place. And that is, who's that going up the inside? Could be, I don't know who it is actually. It's not saying on the screen. But it's Ramirez in 4th. McPhee up to 6th. Seems like Aaron Canet hasn't had such a good start. It's good to see. But not swamped off the start, but our reaction was a little bit delayed. Our traction off the start was particularly poor. But the priority in this race is just staying on the bike, because we know we've got the fastest pace out of everyone on the circuit. It's just about keeping it clean. Ramirez ultimately very wide there. Della Porta losing the lead. Look how slidey we were just out of that corner, and that wasn't really with full revs. Della Porta's now lost the lead. It could be Suzuki who's took a surprise lead here, potentially, but Garcia down to the bottom. That's a sad state of affairs. But this could be a very interesting race. It seems the top 4 could be pulling away from us, but admittedly we're not pushing our hardest yet because it is so wet. And look at that battle between, I think that is Suzuki and Della Porta. Practically Della Porta having to push Suzuki out there just to try and keep that position. And we're just trying our best not to fall off the bike, but this could be a very good race. Look at Ramirez up the inside of Suzuki. He's got him, and this could be our chance to get Suzuki back. Della Porta has now lost the place to his teammate Ramirez. This is fascinating stuff. We can't be too aggressive because we don't want to risk falling off, but Canet's had a disastrous start all the way down to 24th. If we want to win this championship, we have to beat Dalla Porta. That's the man we have to beat. We're beating everybody else at the moment, apart from Dalla Porta. Suzuki has just run it a little bit wide there. We've got the better inside line. We'll take that position. Thank you very much. Even though he's trying to get it back, this is a very action-packed start. I haven't been able to breathe yet. Binder has a poor start as well. So, well, as I said, Dalla Porta the only one that we're not beating. We have to be very tense into this corner. Very lenient, because it's a very tricky corner to get right, and because we were so lenient, Suzuki broke later into it, and in fact our leniency has not punished us. It has been very rewarding, because we've took that position back from Suzuki, but he's trying for it again, possibly up the inside. We can't cut away from this battle at the moment. He's broke later, but we usually get a better run out of these corners. No need trying to be too aggressive. He has took that position for now. Mazzi has also had a poor start, so all of our championship rivals have had poor starts bar Dalla Porta. Is this a sign? We're very close to Dalla Porta, the championship leader. I told you all earlier, we need to beat Dalla Porta here in this race, but we don't want to risk our life doing it at the same time. Now Suzuki trying to practically take us out there with how late he broke, but that was a little bit ridiculous. But luckily, he hasn't done that. And goodness me, this is so horrible, because you're trying to keep on the bike, trying to be aggressive at the same time, but the main priority is definitely keeping on the bike. Into the last corner, how are we going to get on? Are we going to benefit once again from braking a little bit earlier, even though that's not worked that time because we had to pull out from braking a little bit? That being said, luckily the consequence wasn't that much. Now we've just set a 155.3. Antonelli's pulling away at the front of the grid. If we don't win this race, it won't be the end of the world, but it's a massive opportunity to try and beat Dalla Porta. We are so close now to Dalla Porta, only a 10th off the lap that Antonelli sat last time, so we are definitely in the race for this victory. But actually, just seen along that straight, Dalla Porta putting away quite a bit. Maybe our last corner was quite poor, suggesting that our acceleration out of there was poor. But I think we've got to catch Dalla Porta napping. Our strength is in that last part of the lap, but we're going to have to be pretty daring to go for a move. The question is, do we want to potentially sacrifice our 4th place to try and beat Dalla Porta, or are we just going to take this and maybe take and unfortunately feel that Dalla Porta's going to win the championship, and that is a battle not worth fighting? Interesting. You can always touch that 3rd place. It's absolutely horrible. Just look, we've just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix with a 53.6. But it is not going to be good enough to beat Dalla Porta here. It's heartbreaking, but I have to say a really good effort. I'm really proud of myself this weekend from really a track that at the start of the episode we had no knowledge of, really. We'd never raced around here. I'll certainly look forward to racing around here again. It's a track that I think really suits me. Again, a lot of fast corners and ones that we can take the initiative at. It's amazing, really, I suppose, that the team that Dalla Porta race for, I think it's Leopard Racing, hasn't swapped the 2 bikes over, because that will give Dalla Porta a big advantage in the championship. But I suppose it's that sort of thing that, well, Ramirez has earned it. Ramirez is not up there very often. Antonelli's a shock winner as well. I think this could be his first win of the season. But unfortunately, the laps have just been a little bit inconsistent. One lap we've been quicker, one lap we've been a second off, and that means that overall, of course, the gap pretty much balances. So unless Dalla Porta makes a mistake, we are not going to beat him. But the main thing is that we beat all of our other championship rivals, and we could potentially be in second in the championship after this race. Fascinating thing, really. We don't want to push this too hard and lose all this on the last few corners, but Dalla Porta is so close, it's heartbreaking, it really is. If only you got extra points for a fastest lap. Only on this weekend, because we never tend to get the fastest lap anywhere else. But we are probably the closest we've been for a long time. But making a move into that last corner is just something you would never ever dare to do with the real lack of grip we've got in the wet. So we've got to hope that Dalla Porta makes mistakes. We are close enough. Probably in normal circumstances, we might have made a move. Maybe a little bit too far off, actually. But the last corner now, I don't think Dalla Porta's going to make a big enough mistake for us to benefit coming out of the corner. We're so close to it, it's heartbreaking, but it is not to be today. Antonelli wins the Grand Prix, Ramirez 2nd, Dalla Porta 3rd, and ourselves in 4th. That is an absolutely fantastic result. I'm chuffed with that. Whew. Wow, that was tough. That was really tough, keeping up with that top group. And as you can see, our championship rivals, we've got, well, none of them scored a point. Mazia didn't score a point. Caddick down in 19th. Goodness knows what happened to him at the start, but look at how far some of these bikes were off. Really poor in terms of their pace. But as you can see, we're now moving to 2nd in the championship. We've overhauled Canet, we've overhauled Mazia, and it almost looks like Darren Binder's out of the race. It also looks like anybody's out of the race for the championship, though. It looks like Dalla Porta's won it, but if we're the bridesmaid in our first season in Moto3, I think we can be very, very proud of that. But we've got some development points we can spend on the bike. Not quite a podium today, but equally as good as one. I think we'll be very proud of our result. A few stinkers of results recently, and this all makes up for it. Fantastic stuff. Highlight of the season and the series, I'd argue that performance was. Very good. Not falling off all weekend as well, that's a pretty good achievement, and that'll definitely please the team. So let's have a look what the development points can get us at the end of this Grand Prix. That can definitely help us going into the end of the season. Again, we've got to gain 10 points every race now to see if we can win this championship. It's pretty much impossible. So, let's have a look. So we can, well, that's interesting. Interesting stuff. So we've already, we've already done two things to the frame. That's obviously done before I come to the team. But we are, there we go, going to increase the engine power. So hopefully that might help us going into the Japanese Grand Prix. But the end of the season is very much nigh now. We've got the Japanese Grand Prix and the Australian Grand Prix in the next video. And then on Thursday we'll race at Sepang and Valencia to see who will be the Moto3 champion. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode. There's going to be 2 thrillers coming up on the channel tomorrow and on Thursday. I might well premiere the Thursday video if the title race is still open. That's a possibility, but it might not still be open. But to finish second would be absolutely fantastic. So let's try and maintain this position by having 4 very strong races at the end of the season. Thank you all very much for your company today. I appreciate it. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, comment down below and subscribe to support the channel further. But apart from that, thank you all very much for watching today, and until the next time, I will see you all later on. Goodbye for now.